What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/stories about Kevin. This story is called Kevin Nearly Destroys a Bathtub. Fun ensues. So a few years ago, I was living in Berlin with a complete Kevin when it came to cleaning. Think ruining a wooden table by using all-purpose kitchen spray with bleach to clean it and leaving the spray on for an hour. The resulting surface was mottled with patchy, ghost-like marks that required stripping, sanding, and refinishing, or the whole thing would have had to be thrown out. His reply said, "It's all purpose." In other words, Kevin had a history of household destruction, but all comparatively minor league stuff prior to this. Sometimes I thought these mishaps were a ploy to get out of cleaning, as he's a genius at programming. But over time, I realized he's both lazy and a Kevin when it comes to anything domestic. A dangerous combination when you live with someone. Germany is important to the story, as unlike most places you rent, there is literally no kitchen beyond the wires for a stove and a connecting pipe for plumbing. No cabinets, sink, refrigerator, stove, etc. You name it and it's not there. I did not know this when I moved in with the Kevin in question. A friend of mine had found this great flat and I was moving to Berlin, so perfect, right? One less thing to think about. Well, besides being a Kevin about cleaning, he is also one of the least handy people I've ever met. I, on the other hand, have never found a power tool or hardware store I didn't like. So I volunteered to split the kitchen costs and I would install it. No sweat. Checked out a few YouTube videos and called an electrician for the stove wiring. Job done. I had to go away for 3 weeks after getting most of the kitchen set up. I already knew Kevin's cooking and cleaning habits. He was likely to order in most days. So the only thing I had to worry about was how he would wash the dishes. From past experience, I knew Kevin had a habit of letting dishes pile up on sinks, countertops, you name it. I also knew that when push came to shove, he would put dishes in a dishwasher when he had absolutely no dishes left in the house. So I had a flash of inspiration. Install a dishwasher before I left, but no sink and limited counter space. He'd literally have to do dishes. I came back 3 weeks later, feeling filthy from travel and exhausted from a red-eye back. All I want is a nice hot bath in the flat's giant hot tub, not a shower in the small stall next to it. A full-on bubbles and chill bath. I climbed the stairs to the flat, daydreaming about this bath. 6 stories of chair with luggage. Never let a guy who does the Iron Man regularly for fun help pick your flat. Walking into the apartment, I see Kevin. He's getting ready for the day and has a steaming cup of coffee in his hand. I walk into the kitchen and to my surprise, I find it pristine. No dishes. I pat myself on the back, pleased my plan had worked. "Kevin, I'm off to take a long bath. Do you need anything from in there?" "There might be a small problem with that," he said as I walked down the hallway. "What do you—" I was about to say mean when I opened the door to the bathroom. When I stopped, as I saw the giant, beautiful bathtub, my dream place for the last couple of hours, filled to the brim with dishes, pots, pans, you name it, covered in a thick skin of moldy, slimy water. Kev, what happened exactly? "Well, some were really dirty, so I thought I'd soak them before you came home." The slimy, borderline sentient skin on the water told another tale. "Kevin, I think these have been sitting here for a while." "Well, yeah, they were really dirty." Kevin, can you help me take them out of the tub, please? We need to rinse them and put them in the dishwasher." "Okay, sure thing," said Kevin. My teeth gritted as this was literally the last thing I wanted to be doing, and now I really wanted that bath. I began to help him. "I'll rinse and you load the dishwasher. Grab the laundry basket to carry them, as there is a ton of stuff in here. I didn't even know he had this many dishes." So Kevin brings me the basket and I start rinsing off layers of scummy water, stuck-on cheese, some things that must have been something once. It was like the world's weirdest archaeological dig. When we are about 45 minutes into this, I start to think the tub has no bottom. I'm also beginning to be kind of impressed at Kevin's ingenuity. 20 minutes later, we are nearing the bottom. The end is in sight. All I need is a ton of bleach and I might actually get my bath, although a bit later than I wanted. Kevin has gone back to the kitchen with another load and is finally putting the dishwasher on. Smiling inwardly, I reach into the tub and let out an ear-curdling scream. We are talking a horror movie level, I've seen a ghost kind of scream. I pull my hand out of the tub and there is blood going everywhere. Down my arm, all over the white tile floor, a bit on the wall, and the already disgusting water remaining has turned a disgusting shade of reddish pink. My brain switches to analytical shock mode. I'm wondering if I may need a tetanus shot depending on whatever the hell I cut my hand on. Kevin is already racing down the hall. He's a good guy at heart, just a walking disaster at times. "You okay? What happened? I heard you scream," Kevin said anxiously. "Kevin, is there some sharp metal like a knife or maybe some glass or something in the bottom of the tub by chance?" I ask in that calm, shocked mode I'm in, clutching my still bleeding hand in a white towel. "No knives. I didn't cut anything," said a now very worried Kevin. "Pizza and all that came pre-cut," he added unnecessarily. Did you use anything glass while I was gone?" My mind was now spinning as the murky depths of the tub did not reveal my aggressor. Kevin is a beer and soda guy. He does drink coffee from cups, so maybe that? "Nothing I can think of," Kevin said, still worried. "Wait, I did have some wine while you were gone, but that was like the day after you left." "Kevin, did you happen to put a wine glass at the bottom of this pile of dishes?" "I guess. I mean, maybe? I was kinda drunk, so it sounds like something I would do," said a now slightly guilty-looking Kevin, I'm assuming. My senses slowly returning. "Kevin, you freaking idiot! The glass obviously broke and now my hand is killing me! I'm going to go bandage this and lie down, as I'm freaking exhausted. When I wake up, the tub and the kitchen better be spotless or I may kill you." Not a complete ass, just a periodic complete Kevin. When I woke up a couple of hours later, everything was spotless and there was an apology lunch laid out. It took him ages to live this one down. Granted, I'm not sure if I wasn't a bit of a Kevin for being too thoroughly outwitted by one. Luckily for me, I found a roommate who is an actual neat freak, so yeah, hopefully that works out. But that is terrifying. Sticking your hand in that kind of nastiness and cutting your hand. Oh my god, I would just cut it off at that point. Like, you don't need that arm anymore. It's not gonna do you any good. This story's called Kevin Burned Me. This is an old story that I was just reminded of and thought it would fit here. This is my first post, so I'm not quite sure if this is right. Back in the early 20-teens, I was working late night closing at a fast food place known for their social media snarkiness, Wendy's. I was freshly graduated from high school, taking classes at 2 nearby colleges. Since my classes were to start before sunrise, at night, I'd rush to finish all of my duties, including dishes. However, everything was slowed down by Kevin. Kevin was a man in his 40s with an unkempt beard who loved going at his own pace. Despite working fast food, he went about his way like a snail. Before going into this particular event, I want to list off some other things Kevin has done to give a better idea of what he is like. He makes fun of handicapped and autistic people by making awful, loud impersonations of them. He's gotten told off several times by managers, and myself, brother is autistic. No one is allowed to make fun of him like that. Washes his hands in the sanitizer sink that the dishes are to go into. Has been yelled at for doing this repeatedly. Came into work with pink eye because the manager said she'd fire me if I missed another day of work. Was told that was without a doctor's note in regards to a hangover day. Got sent home for this. Shoved me out of the payment window of the drive-thru to talk to his friend for 15 minutes. Friend still sat on the timer. friend got banned after he hit on me. Unplugged the POS terminal to plug in his phone charger, repeatedly. Now, part of the closing procedures was to take apart some pieces of the grill and scrub them. As you can expect, these things are hot, hot, hot. Normal procedure, even with Kevin, was to either put them on a cart and tell me when this is done so I can rinse and then wash, or, Kevin's favorite, dump into the soapy hot water so it can soak before I scrub. After I take care of another 30 cars with both orders and money, I return to my sink to see a hefty pile of dishes in the middle sink, not sitting in water. I presume from the first dishes I see that these are not fresh. I take the first dish, rinse it, toss it into the sink, repeat it with the next. Third one is good. I finally get to the dish on the bottom. I grab it, expecting it to be the coldest of the dishes. Oh, how wrong was I? This dish was the hottest! I do as expected when your dominant hand is suddenly cooking, drop the dish and scream. It's a high-pitched, girly, horror movie-worthy scream, drawing the attention of everyone but Kevin. Brian, the sandwich guy, is running over like he is going to kill, with Kay, the manager, and Allie, the front cashier, hot at his heels. All three are panicking with me when Kevin decides to meander over. He takes one look at my hand and decides he knows the best solution: squirt mustard on my burn. Kay freaks out, telling Kevin no, that mustard does nothing to help a burn. Brian and Allie do the best they can do for me. Brian runs me to the cooler to slow down the hand cooking, while Allie gets me the burn ointment. Sadly, these are in vain as I still need to dunk my hand into scalding hot water to wash dishes. Now, why was the bottom dish so hot? Kevin decided he wanted to mix things up, and not only take the dishes off in the wrong order, but to also rearrange them on the cart in the order they would have been. The burns on my hands were so bad that they showed up during a fingerprint examination I did with the professor for a class. I had to explain to the former cop that no abuse, it was just a Kevin. As for Kevin himself, he was not fired for any of that. He was fired for missing too much work when he got a new job at a factory and did not give his 2 weeks quitting notice. Yeah, you really don't want to screw around with kitchen rules and regulations because they are there for a reason. I mean, it's not as dangerous as like a factory, but it is a factory of sorts. People are working together to assemble things, which is food, and there is a lot of dangerous stuff there. There's high temperatures, there's sometimes really big equipment that can really mangle you, slippery surfaces. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong at any moment if you are not careful, and Kevin has no place in a kitchen. This story's called Kavina at the Student Newspaper. I went to school with Kavina in a college media arts program. Some background. Most of us were in our 20s. Kavina was in at least her 30s. Not that it was a problem. For about half the time, Kavina was a very friendly and very talkative person. No, the problem was Kavina also did not play nice with other people. Kavina gained a reputation for being difficult to work with, refusing feedback, getting into arguments when she didn't get her way, and playing the victim when she got called out on her crap. Anyway, me and Kavina end up being hired to write for our school's newspaper. She had her reputation, but I figured, let guy bonds be guy bonds. Guess who was wrong? Right off the bat, Kavina refused any feedback. It was the job of our editor, who we'll call Eric, to go over our story drafts. You see, Kavina considered herself a great writer, so much that any notes to any of her drafts would result in her throwing a tantrum, even though it was explained multiple times that it was Eric's job to do this. Numerous coworkers, including Eric, weren't from our country, and Kavina claimed she didn't need to listen to their feedback because English wasn't their first language. Kavina claimed to be an expert in many things, in a bizarro Michael Scott, Dr. Steve Brule kind of way. Some of these things were harmless, like the fact that she claimed to be a comedy genius. She would say things, then announce that she was funny and witty. Apparently, she also worked for the government in the past. but she would not stop bringing it up. This included in interviews where she would trail off into other irrelevant subjects, often mentioning her various exploits and trying to network in the middle of the interview. One occasion, Kevina was approaching someone who was indigenous for an interview. Kevina brought up that she used to work in the government and mentioned what they were doing to indigenous people. The person would refuse the interview. Another occasion, Kevina was interviewing a high-ranking member in the student government. This member, to put it lightly, had a disability. The interview got off track and the member started going in a direction that would endanger their job. Does Kevina change direction and get the interview back on track? Nope, she agrees and spends the next 20 minutes wasting time. Nothing from the interview could be used. Multiple times, Kevina decided she was in charge, despite Eric and another coworker outranking her. Still, Kevina used her alleged experience as well as her age as reasons she didn't have to listen to them. Kevina also slept on the job. We were allowed to take breaks, but Kevina decided to take a nap in the middle of work, then got angry when it was pointed out she couldn't. By the second month, most people were fed up with Kevina's crap. Most people at least tried to get along with her for the sake of a positive work environment. This included our bosses, who frequently had problems with the articles Kevina was writing. Since she couldn't work with Eric, all of her feedback would come from our bosses, who weren't pleased with the work she was submitting. Kevina wasn't at odds with everyone. No, Kevina decided me and her were best buds, often referring to herself as my big sister. At the third month, Kevina again did not get a good response to her articles. When confronted, Kevina got angry, then pointed to my articles. "But I know what I'm doing," she apparently said. "It's OP that doesn't know how to write an article." From that point on, I basically decided, screw it, I'm done with Kevina's crap. The next time we worked together, we were supposed to edit one of my articles that needed a bit of fixing in the first paragraph, as a deadline was coming up. However, the entire article had been run by and approved by our bosses. This wasn't good enough for Kevina. No, she decided major parts of the article must be fixed. After explaining to her that there was a deadline, she got angry, telling me I didn't know everything and I wasn't the boss of her. Our boss pulled Kevina aside and explained to her that no, there wasn't enough time for a full-on rewrite. Kevina walked back in and sulked for an hour. Working with Kevina was not fun. I'm curious as to what led to her no longer working there. Did she leave of her own volition? Was she fired? Or what? That's what I want to know, because this Kevina needs readjusting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.